Hi.
Hi, Daniel.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Good. You want to talk a little about yourself?
Well, on the whole, I feel pretty well. I feel pretty healthy. I do have a concern with this kind of counting thing I do, and I've gone to see someone before, and they actually did diagnose me with obsessive compulsive disorder, and I just kind of need some strategies about how I might be able to handle that in certain situations.
Okay. So, you have seen doctors about it?
Yes, or
Psychiatrists?
yeah, there's a psychiatrist.
Okay. Several, or just like have you named one?
Just one. I've only
Okay.
got one.
And is she diagnosed with any medications or?
She actually wanted to diagnose me or to prescribe the medication, but I didn't really feel comfortable with that
So
because I didn't think it was severe enough to go ahead and take that step.
Do you feel like it's making more struggle within your daily routines?
Yeah, definitely lately it's gotten a lot.
It's gotten worse.
More
Something
intense.
triggering that? Like schoolwork, having anxiety, the tests, and
It's kind of not like a specific event. It's kind of my overall state of mind. I definitely tend to do it more when I'm stressed, and when I have a lot to think about, I'll think about my like little weird rituals, and it's kind of like a relief from what I'm actually going to think about.
so what are those weird rituals? Describe them to me.
Definitely, it's has a lot to do with counting, and I'll take shapes, and I'll try to outline them, or like dot the corners, or fill them in like different blocks of color in my head, and I use each for each segment or corner or block of color. I use a syllable. So I'll take a conversation like the one we're having. I'm not actually doing it at the moment, but the one we're having, I would take each syllable and make it match like the sides of a shape or something like that.
So does it kind of distract you when you're talking to someone, like when you focus?
Yeah, it definitely distracts me. It definitely happens a lot when I listen to music. And definitely no one ever notices, but I change everything about the way I talk to fit
To
into
overcompensate it? Okay.
no, to fit into like the shapes that I'm creating in my head.
Okay. So
Sounds pretty crazy.
no, it's not crazy.
No? Okay.
Oh, it's interesting.
I'm always embarrassed to tell people.
Oh, you shouldn't be embarrassed.
So, do you think that's weird? I always feel pretty embarrassed to tell people about that.
No, it's not weird. I mean, people have different coping mechanisms, and this is obviously a very common disorder. Have you like been in any support groups or interacted with other people that
I
have
haven't
this
actually been in touch with anyone. I never thought of that.
Does that interest you at all?
Not really. I always picture OCD people as being extra crazy and strung out. And
So
all
you're
sorts of
embarrassed about it?
Yeah, I don't.
You don't like to
I would hate to
address
have the label put on me, but it already has.
it? Okay, well maybe that could be something you could try.
Maybe
So
I would be
maybe
willing to try
goal?
different things because I definitely it's coming to a critical point.
It's starting to affect your routines and your schoolwork.
Yeah, I definitely have trouble sitting through class, and it definitely comes whenever either I'm very stressed out or I don't want to think about what I need to think about: class, studying, tests, any kind of like relationship crisis. I definitely start doing a lot more. Just any kind of bad feeling.
Stressors.
Comes, yeah.
So your parents are aware of this.
Yeah, they know.
What is their role in it? Is any triggers or is it conflicts, confrontations that make it worse?
Well, funny thing is, it definitely started the most when I came to college. So maybe I got away from them. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. My mom is definitely very picky and meticulous, so I don't know, maybe that was my mind's way of compensating for her not being there.
It's a possibility.
But
So this is what you said the
overall,
last 3 years.
yeah, overall I would say they don't really play a very huge role in that.
But they're aware that you met with psychiatrists and stuff and so on.
They're aware of it, and they're actually pretty concerned about it. Because they think
Something
that
you need to draw
anything
your attention
that's
to.
going to impede my cognitive functioning
Right. Or affect your
needs to be
schoolwork,
addressed.
your
Yeah,
schoolwork.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm
So is there any OCD history in your family?
Actually, no.
No.
There's every other mental disorder, but I've never really heard of anyone with OCD, actually, so it's strange.
So you're saying that the things that trigger it is obviously your schoolwork, your anxiety, when you're in like stressful situations, and
Yeah.
it's affecting your schoolwork. Do you have a job right now?
Yes, I know.
And does it affect your job as well, or is it not so bad? Just when you're like in the school atmosphere?
It doesn't affect what I'm doing. It definitely affects when I'm trying to learn something, like definitely
Right.
school.
Or just conversations.
Right.
You're not doing it right now, but
No, because I'm thinking about it, so
okay.
I'm conscious of it.
Right.
It's kind of always going in the back of my head if I'm not. It's like thinking about breathing. It's
Okay.
like that. You can't breathe normal if you think about breathing. It doesn't affect me if I'm just doing it casually, like in a conversation, because it's actually kind of comforting. The only way that it affects me negatively in those instances is where I can't get things to match up, like get the right amount of syllables, or
And that's when you lose your focus on whatever you're doing.
and that's when I say and I start over. And
How do you usually deal with that? Those emotions? Do you get frustrated?
yeah, I get frustrated, and the only way to deal with it is to just start over. And I'll make everything very elaborate. Like if there's a square and I want to circumvent it, then I'll go both directions from each corner, and then I'll switch the pattern, and then it gets really elaborate, and I have to have a feeling of symmetricality.
Yeah,
Is
such
that- Symmetricality. Yeah.
Symmetry.
Symmetry. Symmetricality.
What you meant? Can you know
I have to have a feeling of symmetry to feel complete. And if I can't achieve that, then I have to start over again.
So it seems like it's very time consuming, huh?
Yeah, it is definitely very time consuming.
When you're working on like an individual homework assignment or a project, I'm curious, does it take longer because of the disorder? Do you start losing your focus?
It's never that I sit around and think, oh, I would be so much better off if I didn't have this, or like, this is driving me crazy right now. It's more like if I look back, like on the big picture, I just think about like, wow, I
Certain incidents.
spend a lot of time in general doing this. Because it definitely is worse when I'm stressed, but even when I'm in a really good mood, it can come just because it's kind of like filling some sort of hole.
So when you like kind of feel emotions or emotions are being expressed, that's when it starts to be triggered.
Yeah, definitely.
And what about right now? I'm curious about your schoolwork because like midterms and a lot of assignments are going on right now, aren't they? It's going to be in the semester.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of building up, and I tend to do things last minute anyway.
Procrastination is normal. Students.
Yeah, thanks. I needed that. Yeah, so I definitely procrastinate, but I don't see it really affecting my schoolwork.
Okay, well, that's a good thing.
It would just kind of be experimental to see, because it's not. I don't feel like it's holding me back so much as if that was not a factor, how much better I could do at other things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm in the negative, but I feel like if I was in neutral right now, I could get much more positive if I had some.
So I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm beginning to understand it, but to be honest, I don't really know a lot about this disorder. So could you maybe explain to me like daily routines and what really triggers it?
It's hard to say what triggers it exactly for me. I never do things like count how many times I brush my teeth or count my steps, but it's definitely like about balance. Like if I am walking, I need to have some sort of pattern, like not step on the cracks, but I need to have like if I walk in 2 steps in one square, then I need to walk 2 steps in the next square, and then it definitely comes back to sounds, like I said, like speech patterns and syllables, and on top of like basic shapes, I tend to like use my body to count. Like I'll look at the segmentations in my fingers, and I'll like divide those up and cross them out and fill them in and do all these.
So it's all
Kinda-
symbols and patterns.
Yeah, it's all symbols and patterns, and nothing. I'll kind of get on one shape for a while, like the bottom of a shoe, or like a face. I feel.
You feel embarrassed right now?
Yeah, I
You
do.
should. It's interesting to learn about.
Thanks. Yeah, so it's definitely comes and goes, but definitely I'll go through phases about specific things I think about. And it's just very difficult, and the more complicated I make it, the more satisfying it is when I can successfully do it with symmetry.
Symmetrical? Would you say symmetrical? I don't know what you said.
Yes.
Symmetricality.
Symmetricality. It's definitely rewarding and satisfying mentally that I can do it with symmetry, but it produces no result, and I feel good, and then I just want to start over too. Yeah, it would be a lot easier for me to describe if I had like an object, or I always think of it in terms of toothpicks, like small exact units, or
They're the same length and size.
yeah, the same length and size, or even if I could draw it out or something. I've never actually tried to.
Would you maybe want to try that? Kind of model your emotions and.
No, I don't think that's
Okay.
not right now.
Effective. Okay.
No.
It's no problem at all. Okay. I really am really interested in this disorder. I want to learn more about it, so I want you to help me learn more about it. But it's going to be a really time consuming. It's going to take a lot of work. Are you willing to make the effort to try and get to reach that length that you're saying that you wish that you could cross?
I think so, yes, because I'm definitely at a point where I want to address it and try to get some more kind of handle on it, because that's why I'm here.
Right.
I
It's
honestly.
a big step that you took.
Yeah, I definitely felt like I was at like kind of a critical point, and I wanted to get some help, but at the same time, definitely very weary of medications and would not want to take that path.
You're opposed to that right now, medications. Okay. So there's obviously other alternatives that we can use.
Yeah.
And your parents, are they aware that you're here?
Yes.
You're 18 years old.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, so have you ever journaled before?
No, I haven't journaled. I like to write for sure, but I never actually took the time to just actually
Write a
sit
diary or
down.
anything
No,
like that?
to write a
That's
diary.
right.
No.
Okay, just asking. What methods did your previous psychiatrist use to maybe as interventions for your OCD?
Well, she had two options for me. The first one was medication, and I told her that I
Didn't want to take
really
that
wasn't
out.
ready to do that yet. I'd use that as more of a last resort. And so she said, okay, and her second option was to come to you.
Okay.
So,
So we're going to rule out the meds.
Yes.
There's other alternatives. Okay. Why don't we try and utilize this journal idea? It's really effective for people to write down their emotions and like see it on paper because it's more sensitive, and then it'll actually help me get a better understanding of like how you're feeling and when you have these triggers and you start seeing that you're having these OCDs regularly throughout the day. I want to see how you feel if it really is effective. So how would you feel about that idea about writing in a journal?
it's not something I gut reaction want to do, but you just asked me if I would be willing to put in more time. So,
And you agree to that?
yes, I did agree to that. And if you think it would be beneficial, then I'll go ahead and give it a try. I definitely always felt apprehensive and excited at the same time about the idea of kind of putting a picture to what I'm thinking about. One, because I'd be able to like show it and have it like a hard copy on paper and have it tangible. Like this is like, kind of confronting like what I'm seeing, and then at the same time I'm just feeling like a crazy person.
I think you documenting it will help you see it tangible. I feel like that could be an effective tool because then it can make you realize like the emotions that you're feeling, which will help me understand it better so we can go into further interventions about how to address this disorder. Does that make sense?
So what exactly do you want me to write? Is it just pictures or?
I want you to draw the pictures that when you're starting to feel the disorder, when you have an OCD, like if you're in a conversation or if you're doing work and like you start seeing images, I want you to draw it. And
Okay.
then if you start outlining it, like you said, when you have the square, and if you start like going from corner to corner, I want you to document your emotions that you're feeling. Does it make you stressful? Do you start getting
Okay.
frustrated? Do you get uncomfortable? Does your anxiety rise a little bit more than normal? To help you understand better.
Okay. That's
Is
gonna
that
be.
something that you would want to do?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to carry it around all day because it's in a sense it's almost kind of like a dream, like you know it happened, but you can't exactly remember it because it's so far back there.
So would you want to try and maybe have a journal with you all day, or is it something you want to
Yeah.
sit down at night and do?
No, I think to be effective, I would need to have it with me all day and just jot stuff down.
Okay. Just get a little pocket. I can provide you with little pocket holders.
Oh, can you? Okay, yeah, that might be helpful. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about.
Trying this intervention.
I'm kind of excited about having someone else fully understand because when I try to tell people about it, they're all very skeptical and they actually do it really weird.
It's just a really complex, issue. A lot of people just don't really know about it. That's what makes it complex. It's not that
Right.
I don't think they're looking at you because they're judging you. I think they just don't understand it.
Right. They don't. I think it just comes as a surprise to a lot of people because they don't see
It's very
they don't see
private.
me doing that ever.
It's really private. It only happens.
Yeah, there's actually one physical manifestation of it ever, and it's this like I tap my fingers. If my hand is flat, I have specific patterns of tapping my
I've
fingers.
noticed you've been doing that as we've been meeting today. Is it
Have
because
you
you're
really?
nervous? Yeah. Is it because you're nervous?
Uh,
When you get nervous, is that when that triggers that?
have you really noticed? Yeah. See, I'm
You don't
I'm doing the
realize
counting thing, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm not doing that, but then I'm doing this.
you're doing
It's just-
everything.
Yeah.
It's also just a normal reaction, like when you're nervous and you're talking to someone. You know, some people get sweaty palms.
But
they
do you
like
consciously
this,
do
bite
it?
their nails.
Because when I do it, I have to do like certain
You do a pattern.
patterns
So
every
that's
time.
what, yeah,
And I
that's
have to go
triggers to yours.
both directions, and that's the symmetry I was talking about.
And then you repeat it.
Yeah, I have to do it in each direction on both hands, and then start over.
And you do that, and you're still listening to what I'm saying to you.
Right. So it's like I was trying to say earlier. It's not like I feel like I had a bad conversation with you because I was doing that. It's just in retrospect, if I wasn't doing that, how much more could I have been focused on this? Yeah, that was actually a really good example. I'm surprised that you noticed me doing that, but not surprised at the same time.
Okay, so I had some breathing exercises that I wanted to try, but I'm gonna hold off on this for the time being. I want to try and utilize the journal and the documenting so I can better understand your disorder and your daily routines and your emotions, everything behind it. Is that something
Okay.
to you?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so we'll hold off on this, and so we'll meet next Thursday, and then that's when we
Okay.
can take the time to focus on specific goals and if the journal helped you out, how it made you
Okay.
feel throughout the rest of the week.
That sounds good.
Okay, great.
I'm really feeling like I should take this head on. So
I'm excited you're here. I'm excited you're willing to work with me on this issue
Yeah,
and help me learn more about OCD and
Yeah.
specific disorder.
well, hopefully, if it doesn't help me, it'll at least help the next person. I'm feeling pretty optimistic. So thanks.
Okay, yeah. Okay, Daniel.
All right, well, I guess
we'll
I'll
see you next Thursday.
Thanks a lot for your time.